Hello everyone, I Shivam Agrawal, Assistant Professor of BCom Department. I welcome you all in the lecture series of Information System Management. And we are running on a unit third of our course, and that is about the system development. So, in the previous lecture, we have done about what is a system and what is the system development life cycle. So, there are nine phases of system development life cycle which we have to follow to making a proper system, and without these life cycle procedures we cannot make a proper system. I can say a feasible system, but there are so many types of models which we are used to making a system. So we have to study about all the types of model which we can make a system, and all the models have their limitations and their benefits and their advantage. So we will study about all these things, and all the according to our requirement we have to choose our model, okay, what model we have to use and what is the basic procedure of using that model. So in this lecture we will continue with the types of model, and so first model is the waterfall model. So we will go with the waterfall model. In this unit, in this lecture we will study about what is the waterfall model. So waterfall model is that the waterfall model was the first process model to be introduced. It is also referred as a linear sequential life cycle model. It is very simple to understand and use. In waterfall model, each phase must be completed before the next phase can begin, and there is a no overlapping in the phases. So first of all thing, we have to remember the one thing, the name is the waterfall. As the water falls, so we have to follow the step by step procedure because the water is falling with the step by step. And second thing is that it is the first model to be introduced for system development life cycle. So the waterfall model is the earliest SDLC approach that was used for software development. The waterfall model illustrates the software development process in linear sequential flow. This means that any phase in the development process begin only with the previous phases completed. In the waterfall model, the phases do not overlap. It means that whenever we are going into the second phase, it will be done only after the first phase is completed. So we will go with the second phase. So that's the waterfall model. Means as a water flow step by step. uh, so that's we have to go with the step by step, and we know that in the in if the water is falling, then there is a no way to overlap the water to the phase 1 from phase 2. So that's the process, and that is also do in the that is also apply in the waterfall model. Then if I am on stage 2, so then I can never go with the stage 1. So waterfall model design. Waterfall approach was first as DLC model to be used widely in the software engineering to ensure successful of the project. In the waterfall approach, the whole process of software development is divided into separate phases. In this waterfall model, typically the outcome of one phase acts as an input of a next phase sequentially. The following illustration is a representation of the different phases of waterfall model. So we will know the waterfall model. So first phase is the requirement analysis. As we know that there will be requirement analysis. In the requirement analysis, we will require analysis all the require and planning accordingly. And then we are going to the system design. So that is the second point. After system design, we have to implement the process. Means we have to develop our system. So that is the implementation. Next is the testing. So we have to test our system, and after that deployment of our system and maintenance of our system. So that's the process of waterfall model. So the waterfall model says that if I am on the system design, then I will never go to the requirement analysis. If I have to go to the requirement analysis, then I have to start my model with the fresh start. Means I cannot go from testing to implementation to system design. So that's the drawback of a waterfall model. So the sequential phases in the waterfall model are requirement gathering and analysis. All possible requirement of the system to be developed are captured in this phase and document in requirement specification document. In the system designing phase, the requirement specification from first phase are studied in this phase, and the system design is prepared. This system design helps in specifying hardware and system requirements and helps in defining the overall system architecture. Next phase is the implementation. With inputs from the system design, the system is first developed into small programs called units, which are integrated in the next phase. Each unit is developed and tested for its functionality, which is referred to as a unit testing. So in the waterfall model, the first model is requirement gathering and analysis. So we have to gather all the requirements which I have to need to deploy a system, to making a system. After that, gathering that requirement, we will go to the system design. So the system design is prepared, in which hardware and software requirements are defined, and after that implementation is done, we can implement a part by part structure of a system that is known as a units, and we will test every unit, that is known as a unit testing. Coming to the next part, is that is the integration and testing. All the units developed in the implementation phase are integrated into a system, and after testing of each unit, post integration, the entire system is tested for any faults and failure. So we have developed the system in units. So after developing the system in units, we will integrate it the whole system, and after making that whole system, we will test that system to know about any faults and failures. Next is the deployment of the system. Once the functional and non-functional testing is done, the product is deployed in the customer environment or released into the market. Maintenance. There are some issues which come up with the client environment. To fix those issues, patches are released. Also, to enhance the product, some better version are released. Maintenance is done to deliver these changes into the customer environment. So there will be maintenance process. So what are the applications of waterfall model? Each software development is different and requires a suitable SDLC approach to be followed based on internal and external factors. Some situations where the use of waterfall model is most appropriate are: requirements are very well documented, clear and fixed, because there is no procedure of going back or roll back. So that's why all the requirements are very clear and fixed. There will be no change in the requirement in the middle time of the software development life cycle. Product definition is stable. Technology is understood and is not dynamic. There are no ambiguous requirements. Ample resources with the required expertise are available to support the product. The project is short. So that's all about the waterfall applications. Now coming into the waterfall model advantage. The advantages of waterfall development are that it allows for departmentalization and control. A schedule can be set with deadlines for each stage of development, and a product can proceed through the development process model phases one by one. Development moves from concept through design, implementation, testing, installation, troubleshooting, and ends up at the operation and maintenance. Each phases of development process is strict order. So these are the advantages. Some of the major advantages of waterfall model are as follows: simple and easy to understand and use, easy to manage due to rigidity of the model. Each phase has specific daily variables and a review process. Phases are processed and complete one at a time. Works well for smaller projects where requirements are very well understood. Clearly defined stages, well understood milestones, easy to arrange tasks, process and results are well documented. Coming to the disadvantages of waterfall development is that it does not allow much reflection or revision. Once an application is in the testing stage, it is very difficult to go back and change something that was not well documented. or throw out or or uh, or thought upon the concept stage. The major disadvantages of the waterfall model are as follows. No working software is produced until late during the life cycle. High amount of risk and uncertainty. Not a good model for complex and object oriented projects. Poor model for long and ongoing projects. Not suitable for the projects where requirements are at moderate to high risk of changing. So risk and uncertainty is high with this process model. It is difficult to measure progress within a stage, cannot accommodate changing requirements. Adjusting scope during the life cycle can end a project. Integration is done as a big bang at the very end, which doesn't allow identifying any technological or business bottleneck or challenges early. So that these are the all the disadvantages of the waterfall model. So the one thing we have to remember is that we have to choose waterfall model when the project is small and the requirements are clearly defined. There will be no changes in the requirement until the project is made up of, and there will be an all the concept will be clear, all the things will be clear, all the phases will be clear, all the everything should be clear, so the project is made in a very simple process. And the mostly advantage of waterfall model is it is very cheap, and it is less time consuming, because there will be no interaction of user and customer, user and I can say producer, which are producing a system, uh, in between the process of making the system. So that's the main disadvantage of this, and that's why it will takes less time to make a project. So that's all about the waterfall model. In the next lecture we will study about the other type of model.